I literally had like zero money left. I had about $87 left in my account after that. I first got started, I was working at McDonald's. I got my first job when I was like 13, 14 years old, saving up like $100, $200 a week as an example. When I got to around 20,000 in savings, which took a couple of years, that was when I was about 18 years old. The first property that I bought was on the central coast of New South Wales. So it was around like Tuggeranong, the entrance kind of location, if people know that. I looked there basically because it was the only place that I could afford and the only place that I actually knew other than where I lived in Western Sydney. Because even back then, Western Sydney was still expensive, like it's still expensive today. But it hasn't, like it's always been expensive. Sydney's always been expensive. I only had a budget of around 140,000 and the only other place I knew was the Central Coast because we used to go holidaying there and camping, which was an affordable kind of holiday, that the only one we could afford. So I bought that property, it was a 2-bedroom unit. Many people said, wait to buy a house. We wait another couple of years, save up, buy a house. I firmly believe to this day, it's better to just get in with something when you can, rather than waiting another 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years because situations can change and like I think you can be thrown off if something happens. So I bought a 2-bedroom unit, about 138,000, did a 10% deposit, so 13K down roughly. I literally had like zero money left. I had about $87 left in my account after that. But thankfully the property was tenanted and it was tenanted for like 220 per week, which, you know, you work it out as about a 7.5% yield roughly back then. That was the first one. Like I continued to go about my business and you know, we're still working at McDonald's and tried to, you know, be an 18-year-old teenager and all that kind of stuff, go out and party and have fun, but live very frugally as well. I didn't really buy another property for probably about another 1.5 years. So that was probably the longest. After that, I started reading the Australian Property Investor magazine and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, some of these people are like 24, 25 and they've got like 4 or 5 properties. And I'm like, I'm 20. And I'm like, it seems like they're doing really well. And then basically I was just like, okay, so you can have more than one. And then I was obviously reading, you know, more of the books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was like, you know what, let's see, I just want to keep this going because I had the old school mentality at first, which a lot of people do, as I'm sure you have heard as well. Buy one property, just pay it off, and then buy another one. I did the numbers, I was like, it's gonna take me X amount of years to pay this off. I'm gonna be this age. And then I was like comparing it to like what's in these magazines. I'm like, well, this person, it might take me that long just to pay one off. And then I just obviously figured out the strategy and you know, about how you can accumulate multiple. I bought the second one in Adelaide because my dad, when mum and dad pretty much split up and got a divorce, like he moved to Adelaide and that was another one that was an affordable area back then. And I bought a house over there, which was about 130,000, semi-detached house around like Salisbury, which everyone was like, do not buy there. It's a terrible area. Around like Elizabeth. I'm spewing, I wish I bought 1,000 there because they've all tripled in value. Like I'm just kicking myself. Everyone that was like, don't buy. I was gonna buy more over there. I have bought about 8 or so in South Australia, which thankfully went up, but like you just look back and you're like all the naysayers that said, don't buy there, it's never gonna grow, it's a terrible area, would have made so much more, but anyway.